Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. Today we are going to be talking about something very interesting, and that is where coffee originated. Now if you're like me, you probably haven't given this much thought, but after doing a little research, it's pretty interesting. And let me tell you, I never would have guessed that what discovered coffee was goats, maybe? Okay, so today, before we get into the episode, I want to quick share with you this new coffee that I'm trying. It's from Cooper's Cask Coffee in Rhode Island. It is super interesting. Basically, they take the green unroasted coffee beans and they put them in a charred oak whiskey barrel, let them age in there for a while, and then they roast them and do it. And like, this has such a weird, incredible smell. It's almost like grapes. It's like fruity. It describes it as spice, peach jam, strawberries, honey, and chocolate. It's from Ethiopia. It is really nice. It's a nice medium light roast. It's so weird. You almost get the tiniest bit of the like rye whiskey barrel in it when you drink it. That's what I'm drinking right now, and yeah, it's so interesting. It's a very interesting flavor combination. I have two other bags. One is a rum barrel and the other is a different type of whiskey barrel. Both are a little darker roast, so I'm very interested to try those. But obviously you guys didn't come here to listen to me lecture about dry age roasted coffee for 20 minutes, so we'll just throw that back there. But today's topic, like I said, we're gonna talk about where coffee came from. Like, you know, not just where I bought the coffee from, but where that shop purchased their coffee, what farm it was on, in what country, what elevation it was at. There's some very interesting things that go into, you know, a cup of coffee. But then I thought back farther into who was the first one to, you know, take this seed out of this cherry and go, let's grind it up, mix it with some water, and make this tasty, refreshing beverage. So, to the best of my knowledge, the first time, according to legend, that coffee was interacted with was in ancient Abyssinia. It was goat herds, and they watched the goats eat this like nice bright red cherry, and then the goats started acting a little cray-cray. They started going a little crazy. And the goat herders were like, well, what is this? What are they eating that is making them so crazy? And so legend has it that Kaldi, one of those goat herders, was very interested in like the reaction that the goats had, so he shared that with a local monastery. So back then, these priests, they tried this coffee before it was even known as coffee, and they were so surprised. It like lifted their spirits, and it gave them energy for long hours of prayer. So this monastery really liked this coffee bean and the energy and the effect that it had, so they shared it with another monastery, who shared it with another monastery, who shared it with another, and by word of mouth, this coffee bean, this coffee fruit became popularized among monasteries among ancient Abyssinia. They weren't really, you know, totally making it into traditional coffee at this point. What they were doing though is they would combine the fruit with some like nuts and some spices, and then they would create almost this bread, this really thick, dense bread that would survive long voyages, long trips. It would have a lot of energy because it would have caffeine in it as well. And they would create this bread and they would just take it on these long voyages. This bread is literally still used today. There are people that still make this bread for trips. Now, you know, they're not like, these aren't, you know, people that bring them on a plane, you know, to the best of my knowledge. But still in like some of these areas, this is a staple diet for, you know, an excursion or anything like that. So around 1270 AD is kind of when coffee was discovered and started to gain its popularity. And it took about 50 years for it to go from Ethiopia, in that small area where it was first discovered, to Arabia, and then to Kaffa, K-A-F-F-A, the region that is like known for like the true start of coffee trade and the coffee as we know it now. A lot of people think that's where coffee truly got its name from, was the region of Kaffa, but you know, who knows for sure. But you know, it's a pretty good guess. It's a pretty good guess. And now, Kaffa, 50% of that country's exports, where like that is coffee. Still, even to this day, it is a vital, vital piece of their economy. So yeah, the way that coffee started is very interesting. If legend is true, and a group of goat herders watched their goats eat this cherry and be affected buy the caffeine, and then they tried it and passed it on to monasteries, and that's how it, you know, slowly spread around the world. Then over time, like, coffee began to just take over. I mean, it became an export of many different countries. Places back then especially would take out other crops they had and substitute just coffee in, because it was such a rich crop to have. And the fact that it didn't even start as a drink, that it started as this bread-like substance, I don't know about you guys, I find that very interesting. It's really, like, it's so intriguing that something that we now consume as a hot, a cold, as espresso, like, that it started off as a bread, and it truly started off by using the fruit of it. If you didn't know, the coffee bean is inside of a cherry, which is a fruit, obviously, and then by process of washed or dry or whatever they want to do, you remove the cherry from it, and then you're left with a coffee bean. Well, before that, they were just using the fruit to create that coffee. That's incredible. Like, the fact that someone watched a goat and said, you know what, I am gonna try that and see how it tastes and see what it does for me. And they just went for it, and then, you know, now, because of that one person or that group of people, we now have coffee in so many homes all across the world, and coffee is one of the most well-known beverages. Like, that's insane. So, because coffee started in Ethiopia, Ethiopia truly has one of the richest traditions of coffee in the world. It is truly an experience for them. It is a sit-down, multi-hour experience to drink a cup of coffee with people and converse. It's a community event. And we will be talking more about that Friday, because it is so interesting to see the differences between certain cultures and how here in America we drink a cup of coffee and we drive through a Starbucks drive-through and we chug it on our way to work. And then other cultures, they think of this as a pivotal part of the day, where it is a moment for them to sit down, for enjoy company, to talk to each other, and it's truly a part of their livelihood. And I am really excited to talk to you guys more about that. It's super interesting. It's super cool how they make this beverage. It's unlike any other way I've ever heard of coffee being made. So I hope you guys are really excited for that on Friday. But yeah, this has been a weird episode. I mean, we talked about goats. We talked about coffee. We talked about goats. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of interesting. But I hope you all enjoyed this. Obviously, this channel is going to be fully around coffee in different ways. Sometimes it'll be backgrounds like we've already seen. Sometimes it'll be different regions and the coffees they drink. If there's something you see and you really, really like it, or something you're looking for, please comment, shoot me a message. You know where to find me. If you're liking something, let me know. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. It's really helpful. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, where we will be talking about traditional Ethiopian coffee brews. Super excited. See you on Friday.